Pnawn da. We're ready? Yeah. Pnawn da. Cynghorydd Simon Croft ydy a cadeiриaeth y Pwyllgor Trosolwg a Chraffu Gofal Cymdeithasol a Iechyd. Good afternoon. My name is Councillor Simon Croft, and I am Chair of the Social Care and Health Overview and Scrutiny Committee. Can I welcome everybody to the meeting, which is a multi-location meeting. The meeting will be live streamed and recorded and will be available for viewing after the meeting. Should the live streaming fail, the meeting will continue and a recording will be available through the Council's website following the conclusion of the meeting. Can I remind members that translation facilities are available, and for those attending remotely to choose your language of choice. For those wishing to speak in the chamber, please raise your hand. For those attending remotely, please use the raise hand function. We will alternate between speakers in the chamber and remote attendees. For those attending remotely, please note those in the chamber can't use the chat facility. Committee members who are attending remotely are required to leave their camera on throughout the debate and when voting in order to maintain the integrity of the decision-making process. If you do need to leave the meeting temporarily, pop a message in the chat function so Democratic Services are aware and let us know when you return. I expect everyone present and participating in this meeting to conduct themselves appropriately and be respectful to each other. And that applies to members, officers, and anybody in the public gallery. When I open the debate to members, I will ask committee members to speak and put their questions first, followed by non-committee members. I do not wish to stifle debate, but can I remind members that any questions should be focused on the subject matter and avoid repetition. If I feel the length of any individual speeches are negatively impacting on the overall time for discussion, and becoming unmanageable, I will defer to the committee rules of procedure, which limits length of speeches to 5 minutes. Okay, thank you. Have we got item 1? Have we got any apologies for absence?
Yes, we do, Chair. Councillors Dave Jones, Louise Emery, Joe Nettle, Elizabeth Roberts, Charlie McCreebury, and Jenny Williams, Strategic Director.
All right, thank you. Any in the room?
Councillor Kay online, Chair.
Thank you, Jane. I need to leave at about 3 o'clock, I'm sorry, but I'm here till then. Thank you.
Okay. Right, item 2. Have we got any declarations of interest relative to the Code of Local Government Conduct? And you must declare any matters that are personal interests. Anybody? No. Item 3. Are there any urgent matters?
No urgent matters.
Nope. Thank you, Jane. Right. Minutes. Has everybody had a look at the meeting minutes of the previous meeting, pages 3 to 7? Got somebody to propose that they be accepted? Yeah. Okay, thank you. And have I got a seconder, please? Austin. Right, okay. Could I have a show of hands in favour of accepting the minutes of the last meeting on committee members? And anybody against? Right, nobody abstaining? No, thank you very much. Right, do we have any questions, Cabinet meeting members, on
no
item 5?
questions, Chair.
Thank you very much, Jane. Right, page. Item 6, to review the forward work programme. Has everybody looked at that? Pages 8 to 14 of the notes and the combined forward work programme. Yes, please.
Thank you, Chair. Can I just advise you of a change to the forward work programme? So the report on more than words action plan was due to come to this committee today, actually. However, the Chair and the Vice Chair have deferred it until April April 2025, when an annual update will be provided and include an update on a pilot within social care, which was undertaken with 2 teams and to establish an individual's perspective of how confident they feel in using Welsh. So that will be included within the action plan in April. That's my update, Chair.
Yeah, thanks very much. That's, I see. So that will be next year. Okay. Right. Any other points anyone wants to make about the forward work programme? Can I have somebody propose the forward work programme? Thank you. And Austin as well. And a seconder, please. Okay. And can I have a show of hands in favour, please? Oops. And anybody against? Anybody abstaining? No. NEMCON, thank you. Right. Okay, item number 7. We'll be considering a report by the Head of Children, Family and Safeguarding on the North Wales Adoption Service. Can I call on Councillor Penny to introduce this?
Diolch, Chair. Thank you very much indeed. And thank you very much for the meeting starting so succinctly and efficiently. So this is the detailed report on the adoption. It's the joint adoption panel, and it's a very detailed one about the achievements and the actions that will lead to further developments for the next report for 24-25. Members, I'd like you, I don't know if any of you have seen the programme, I'm diverted slightly, it's called Alma's Not Normal, and it's written by a comedian, Sophie Wyland, who was brought up in the care system. And when she first approached the BBC about running her pilot series, their response was 3 years ago, why on earth would anyone want somebody with a Bolton accent, whose mother is a heroin addict, whose grandmother is a very lively character around pubs, to be interested in that? Well, she went away and 3 years later, she's got 3 BAFTAs, she's won 2 Wrights Awards, and her input into the social care and adoption, the whole system, has changed people's perception. All her film sets, all her writing sets involve people from care, involve people who have the carer's voice. And it's a really interesting sitcom. Some of it is very lively, but it gives an overview of where she's come from and how passionate she is about changing people's lives, perceptions about people who've been in care and who are still struggling to come to terms with being in care and all that those factors that present. I know you're all aware that I myself was in adoption and in the care system, as are other councillors, and hopefully we bring our experience to try and change things for people. I find this report really interesting, and the more it's highlighted it at a regional level, a local level and a national level, with voices like Sophie Wyland talking about experiences, talking about the impact, turning it into comedy, because all comedy is tragic, then I think it's really beneficial for us all to watch that sitcom, but be aware there are quite some adult themes running through it. So this report is detailed and it talks about the difficulties that the teams have had, how joint partnership is very, very beneficial to both authorities, and how we continue to push forward and try and assist those who are perhaps in difficult situations. I'd like to hand over to Kathy now, who's going to present it, and my thanks to all the Conway team. I'm sorry, Paul, I nearly used the term Team Conway, to all the Conway team for their huge amount of work that goes into it and the adoption panel that comprises of so many different members. So thank you very much indeed for allowing me to introduce it.
Kathy?
That one. Prynawn da, diolch. Firstly, I'd like to say I'm presenting this report on behalf of my colleague Karen Smith, and therefore may not be able to respond to all of your queries, but obviously I will do my best. And I don't intend to go through the report in detail, just bring to your attention the highlights. For those of you who are not aware, Conway contributes to the North Wales Adoption Service, as do all the other North Wales authorities. Prior to involvement in this service, Conway attempted to deliver this service in-house on its own. So there are many real benefits from working collaboratively across the region, as it gives us increased placement availability and increased expertise in this highly specialist field. We get the benefits of pooling resources and being part of what is considered to be an extremely high quality specialist service that now serves several functions on behalf of Conway. They help with the assessment of the adopters, the matching of the children requiring permanency through adoption, and the aftercare needed to support the adoption into adulthood for the parent and for the child. And in Conway, we collaborate with Denbighshire to form this central region for adoption, and we share our panel process. So the makeup of the panel is, as stated, it's shared with Denbighshire. We have the chairperson, 2 medical advisors, 2 social workers, 1 from each area, and 2 elected members. And I know that Councillor Cheryl Carlisle is our elected member and has sat on those panels for a number of years. We also then have the panel advisor and the legal advisor and the panel administrator, but they don't have voting rights. So in terms of what the panel has been able to do in the reporting period, they've considered, as you can see from the report, we've had 4 adoption approvals for Conway. We've had 1 matching, and so in total, across Conway and Denbighshire, it's been 11 cases. So there were 11 children from Conway and Denbighshire referred to NWAS between April 23 and March 24, and 6 of these children had no identified link at the end of March 24. 3 children had been matched, 1 child placed, and 1 child in a potential link. And there was 1 sibling group of 3 children waiting to be matched at the end of March 24. So it's quite a complex situation, because if they came in January, it might look like they're not performing, but actually they're still working hard to try and find these placements. So in Conway, 1 child was matched for adoption and was placed with NWAS. Hang on, I think I've gone to my different, oh no, that's okay. I'm on the right report. And within NWAS, the number of approvals for adopters was 21. And this reflects all of the adopters approved across the 3 sub-regional panels. And this is a slight decrease from last year when 26 approvals took place. However, in terms of the national targets, it is above the national targets that are expected. For those children where we're unable to place using NWAS, NWAS supports us to approach Adoption Wales and other organisations. However, this does come at a cost to us, and those costs have been included in the report. In this financial year, we've not had to fund such a fee. There was 1 young person placed, but that was funded through last year. And while this fee on the face of it may appear very high, if it's thought about in terms of the lifetime of a child, this isn't exceptionally cost effective compared to 16 years perhaps of foster care. And I did a little mini calculation. I'm not a mathematician, but say just using our in-house foster care service at around about £500 a week for 16 years will come to 416,000. So although it seems expensive in comparison, and to give, what's really more important is giving that child the permanency and being part of somebody's family life. But I know people look at it and would think, 35,000, what does that get you? Well, it gets us 16 years worth of high quality care and a family. The figures to the agency fee, the figures pertain to the agency fee only and don't include some of the sundry expenses that are paid to adopters, which include the legal fee. So we do help with the legal fees for the application, as well as some of the travel and accommodation fees. And these other costs, which can be incurred but remain relatively low, are an essential part really of setting up the placement. The interagency payments made during the financial year were 0, and NWAS Regional Adoption charged us £42,000 42,247 for our contribution to the service. And we paid adoption allowances to the adopters, which is 107,000. So I did query, what is that for? What does that money go for? And it goes really for the cost of any equipment for the purpose of meeting any special needs of a child. It's for expenditure necessary for the purpose of continuing to accommodate a child, sometimes including the provision of furniture, domestic equipment, alterations, adaptations to houses, any cost of damage in a home where a child is accommodated. It can go towards the cost of meeting special needs of children. And it's to make sure that adopters who are considering those children who are harder to place are not financially put at risk. So that was what that figure covered. The Conway and Denbighshire panel, there's been 9 panel meetings in the year and 1 business meeting, and attendance continued to be good and no meetings were deferred. The Conway and Denbighshire panel prefer to meet via Teams, and that's been really successful, and that really does contribute to high attendance. The quality of the information from the social workers in NWAS is exceptionally high. Panel members are encouraged to go through the documentation and prepare questions beforehand for the social worker to answer and ensure that they get a real sense and a real understanding of prospective adopters. And as agency decision maker, I get to make the final decisions following the question and answer sessions. And I'm really reassured with the depth of information and the level of scrutiny to each application, which makes my job really easy. The level of professionalism within this process is really evident. The panels leave no stone unturned, no question unasked. So I'm really privileged to get to read all of those panel applications. So the cost of operating the joint panel each year is met by Denbighshire and Conway. Conway meets it, and it costs us around £5,120, so it's not excessive. I noted within the report that in terms of ensuring that the voice of the child is heard, in terms of engagement, it's clear that the service seeks annual feedback from adopters and young people in their care to ensure that the voice of the child is heard. And the young people's voices are considered within the panel process, and young people have been approached to ask and provide questions that they would like prospective adopters to be asked in the panel. So I felt that that was a really effective way of trying to co-produce this process with young people. The service adheres to the national guidance and any research, and it strives really to implement any of the new interventions to support adoptive parents and children. This year, the NWAS management structure underwent changes as a result and now includes 14 managers. So it's split into post-adoption, family finding, contact, family finding, assessment and intermediary services, and marketing and recruiting. And again, I noted that they had, NWAS had exceeded the national recruitment targets. The process for adoption can be lengthy, involving a 6-month period on average of care proceedings in the court arena, during which the ought to be placed decision is made and referral to NWAS to identify the match if possible. And again, it's quite complicated to report on a financial year and our year, because some adoptions start in one year, get completed within the next. So during this reporting period, 4 children were subject of ought to be placed decisions by the head of children's services. 5 children were made subject to placement orders. 2 children were placed within NWAS, and 1 child was placed with adopters in England and subsequently had an adoption order made. So this year there have been fewer children going to adoption, and we feel that that is because the service is progressing with more placements with connected persons. However, for those in need of long-term adoption, this is a highly specialist and important task to match the child with their forever family. and the service remains in debt to those people who put themselves forward for this role. NWAS puts them through an extremely robust, intrusive assessment process to ensure that they get this right. And I'm so respectful and grateful for all those people willing to go through that process to give a child a long-term home. I'd like to thank those within NWAS who've provided a lot of the detail for the report, and for Karen Smith for pulling it together. And I'd like to propose that members accept this report. Thank you. Any questions?
Thanks very much, Kathy. Okay. Is there anybody who'd like to first propose these recommendations? Thank you. And can I have a seconder? Austin. Thank you. Okay, have we got any questions, please, for Kathy? Sorry. Oh, Cheryl's there as well. Oh, right. Cheryl did the note in the actual report. It would be good to hear from Cheryl first. Cheryl, please.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you for letting me speak as I'm not on this committee. I'd just really like to pay tribute to all our staff who are working every day to get the best outcomes for these our most vulnerable children. I've had the privilege of representing Conway on this Conway and Denbighshire adoption panel for the last 17 years, and it's still the most important thing I do for Conway. We urgently need more foster carers and more adopters. I know that, but just to reassure my colleagues that when we meet every month or more frequently as required, those decisions that we make, I always have in my mind, what would I say to that child when they come to knock on my door when they're 18 years old? Did I make the right decisions for them? And that's the centre of everything we do on panel. As I say, I'd just like to thank everyone that makes the journey of the child better in awful circumstances. So, diolch.
Yeah, thank you, Cheryl. For some reason, we can't see you on the screen. I don't know why. But no, right. Okay, Paul.
Paul, put your microphone on, please. Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you, Kathy, for your presentation, and the report for me was clear and understandable. Like Penny, I was a child looked after from the age of 9. And I think what that gave me, as well as a lot of grief, was a passion for challenging injustice, naming my feelings, whether joy, fear, anger, and sadness, calling out things you're uncomfortable about, because they highlight your vulnerabilities and insecurities. And so finding good homes for our children looked after, whether they are in residential homes, whether they're in foster carers, or whether children are able to be adopted, is fundamental to the role of any state and the public service that they provide, because in all those cases the states had to intervene to ensure a child is looked after. My only concern about adoption is what I hear nearly always on the media, and I've heard once or twice, because you don't come across many people involved in adoption, is the length of the assessment period. And many people who want to adopt a child get there in the end, but they do say that the assessment process can be grueling. Now, I don't want us to take any action that undermines the integrity of the assessment, because it's obviously vital that we place children in safe, loving, caring families. And of course, when the state gets that wrong, which it does sometimes, that's even more dreadful. But I wonder if there is anything, as I say, that we can do that doesn't challenge the integrity of the assessment, but even speeds it up by a few weeks or 2 or 3 months, because I know people going through that process do find it lengthy and quite grueling.
Thank you, Paul.
I'm not really in a position to answer that because, as I say, it is our specialists within the North Wales Adoption Service that carry that forward. As you rightly say, it's not the right place to cut corners because this is a lifelong decision for a young person. I am reassured from what I read as the ADM that the questions and the assessment process gives me sufficient information to recognise the skills and the strengths of the potential adopters. I wouldn't want less. I don't feel I get more than enough, you know, but I do recognise when I read it, gosh, you know, I'd come into this quite new and I just hadn't understood the depth in which they go. But every part of that assessment process is necessary in order to make sure that this is a placement for life. And I think one of the real benefits of this collaboration in the North Wales Adoption Service is that they continue to support those children and those adopters for life. And I think prior to, you know, a few years ago, that level of service wasn't there and we faced adoption breakdowns, but I feel much more confident that they're traveling on their journey and making this as robust as it can be for these young people. But I don't know whether it can be made shorter. I don't believe it can. And I don't see, although I said it was intrusive, it is. It's intense. It certainly is intense. And that's why I really appreciate those people who continue to put up with that intensity, because they really have to. We go into everything about their lives to be absolutely clear that they can do this not just for a week, but for 18 years and beyond. So I understand what you're saying, but it is a challenge.
Paul, did you want to come back?
That's reassuring. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Could I ask, I saw reference to a 30-day limit. Is that actually on the adoption process?
Excuse me. Those are the limits around making sure that children aren't on the list for so long that it drifts. So you have to put some targets within there. So 30 days, then you can start your wider search. Then you go wider again, because we really don't want children mulling on that list. We really need to move it forward. So that's the purpose and function around having targets.
Yeah. What does that date from? Is it from the first time someone is up for adoption to when they're placed?
And that's from when the court decision. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Any? Sharon? Councillor Sharon?
Thank you, Chair. My question is around partner of parents adoptions. And I guess picking up slightly on what Paul said, I know the number is quite high of those on the waiting list. Is that a quicker process than the other adoption process, which doesn't involve a partner of a parent? Thank you.
So, maybe you know. So, all right. Yeah, I actually don't know that, but I will ask my colleagues within the North Wales Adoption Service and share their process around parent with you all so that you're clearer about that, because I don't know. Sorry.
Any more questions, please? Can't see any hands. Anybody online? No. Right. Okay, we'll move to a vote on those recommendations. That's on page 43 of your notes. That the Social Care and Health Overview and Scrutiny Committee scrutinise the activities of the Joint Conwy and Denbighshire Adoption Panel. And 2.2, that the Social Care and Health Overview and Scrutiny Committee scrutinise the adoptive placements made outside of NWAS. Right, can I take a vote? We've got a proposer and a second already. And those in favour, please show. Anybody against? Anybody abstaining? That's carried. Right, okay. On to the next item on the...
Councillor
So Kathy,
Cathy.
please come in.
Thank you, Chair. I wasn't quite sure when to raise this, so I've just hopped in between items. Just to remind people that tomorrow night there's a training for school governors that covers safeguarding, and of course that is about looking after our children. So I thought I'd just give that a plug now, although it does overlap with MIDIF. And then MIDIF in January, there is a joint presentation by Education and Social Care that I would encourage everyone to come to and put in their calendars if they are available. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Cathy. That presentation, Penny, you were talking about that drama. Could you tell us more? Give us a link or something or tell us where we can find it.
Yes, of course. It's Alma's Not Normal was the label she was given by social workers when she was 4 years old, going into foster placements and then trying to find a suitable home for her. It's on BBC One iPlayer, and it's based completely on the creator who wrote it. It's all about her life story right up to when she's in her 40s now, and it's just really interesting. It covers mental health, it covers attachment, it covers social workers' perceptions. So it's called Alma's Not Normal. I noticed, Gail, you were smiling, so you're obviously a big fan as well. It's very well done, and it covers so many topics. So it's Alma's Not Normal, BBC One iPlayer, 2 series now she's been commissioned. It is, yeah, brilliant.
Well, thank you very much. Okay. Right, item. Oh, yeah, item 2. Yeah, I think so. Right. Okay. Penny, could you introduce the report on the Glanravan residential building that's been in progress?
Thank you very much, Chair. Yes, thank you. So Glanravan building, it's a wonderful new building that's been designed start to finish. Sue Hibbert and Geraint, I've had regular meetings, myself and Councillor Liz, to see what the progress is. It's a really exciting development for us. I remember when I joined Council 2017, it was talked about then, and now it's coming to fruition. We've had things like badgers we've had to look out for. We've had to build a bat nursery. So our knowledge on bats, Sue and Geraint, and badgers is quite incredible. I never knew you could have a bat nursery. I think that's really good. So it's just a wonderful building, and the plans have gone straight ahead. The contractors, it's been excellent communication from start to finish. And Sue has always raised anything she's not quite happy about, which I'm really grateful for Sue's honesty. And she comes at it really directly. There's no going around the houses, no pun intended. So Sue, I'd like to hand over to you to give this report. Thank you very much indeed.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. This is really about the remodelling of the Conwy long-term children's home that we had in Mockdra and have had since 2008. It was found that we needed something a little better. We managed to attract government funding through HCF funding to develop a purpose-built four-bedroom residential home, so 2 staff room as well, long-term home. That's the home that Councillor Penn is talking about. And in this report, whilst I don't really want to go through the whole thing bit by bit, because it's actually been the subject of 3 cabinet reports, all of which are listed on the back, dating from 2022 right through to the staffing in August 2024. I'll just go through the different stages we've undertaken since the start, really. So we started with the feasibility to work out exactly what we needed to do, what was required for the children going forward long term. That was really the end of 2022. We actually came to Cabinet before we had the funding awarded, but we had applied for it and were very hopeful, and we were granted approval to continue, provided, bearing in mind we got that funding, provided we got that funding, which that funding actually came through, confirming 100%. So we were able then to push forward in around about March 2023, we had the former Glenravan demolished. We did have to work around the bats, as Councillor Penny just alluded to. In fact, we had 247 pipistrelle bats, which we had to create a nursery for them, because it was a nursery building, and that needs to stay up for, I think, it's about 5 years. And also in the build, we need to make mitigation allowances for them to come and go. But aside from that, the building was demolished, and then we came back for construction, with the construction actually starting. We did a tender, we did a 2-stage tender. MPH won the tender, and they actually started on site in January of this year with a delivery date of February 2025. So we were quite hopeful getting it done within that time. And in fact, we need to, because the monies are actually for this to end this financial year. So we need to get it through, finished by March. And that's really what I want to sort of get up to. We are actually on programme, doing very well. We have the staff structure, as I say, agreed. And I believe that's shortly going on the jobs board, on the dash. Will be advertised to get the residential manager and the deputy manager in place, and then they'll go on to looking for the care workers, all with the aim to start opening. I think it's around about May 2025 once it's registered. And that's really, it's come to scrutiny just so that you can understand its progress, and really, because we were asked to do it every 6 months, but unfortunately the last date slipped because other things had came in its place. So I would just ask, really, if the scrutiny can agree that they will approve the progress.
Thank you very much, Sue. Austin, would you got a question?
Oes, mae gynna i un gwestiwn. Ydy'r prosiect o fewn I Iechyd? Is it within budget?
Yes, it is at the moment. Yes, it is. It's well within the budget. It is actually 100% grant funded.
Iawn.
And it is within the budget.
Diolch yn fawr. A oeddech chi wedi dweud yn gynharach bod chi'n gobeithio y fydd o yn cael ei gyflawni cyn ddiwedd y flwyddyn ariannol. Ydych chi'n ffyddiog wneith hynny ddigwydd?
I'm as sure as I can be, given that it's down to weather and all sorts of other things. But at the moment, we're on programme.
Mae hynny'n ddigon da I mi. Ac felly, hoffwn ni gynnig bod ni'n mynd gyda'r argymhelliad a derbyn yr adroddiad yma. Diolch yn fawr.
Paul, do you have a question?
Second Austin's proposal, but just wanted to make 1 or 2 comments because I'm this committee's rep on the project board, which has met regularly for over a year now. And I think the most reassuring thing about that is, in one sense, our collective concern or anxiety to get it right, which I think is very apparent. And though we have dealt with lots of issues on that project board, I think the most reassuring thing is the focus on the children who will live there and the pathways for them, and to ensure that everything is in place to hopefully make this home successful for them, and more important, that they enjoy living there.
Thank you, Paul.
And I think I can reassure the committee that that project board is on this each time they meet.
Thank you, Councillor Paul. Councillor David, you have a question?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Obviously, this is fantastic news. I totally support it, and we're going in the right direction. But there's going to be children that are not going to be able to be placed in the county. They're my concerns, and the private sector, with the decisions taken by the Welsh Government, really, for the non-for-profit. I'm a bit concerned about the private sector no longer being involved, and private sector homes may not carry on in the future. New private sector homes are not coming on stream. So while this is a fantastic project, and the children that go there, I wish them well. But you know, I'm still concerned that maybe the majority of the children are still not going to be placed in homes provided by the authority. And children will still be going out of county or out of country into England. If someone could actually explain what the proposals are to try and make it sustainable for all the children to remain in the county. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is Kathy still around?
I'm
Oh,
here.
thank you.
Here,
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. So there's two parts really. We've set forward our transformation plan in terms of increasing our own in-house provision over the next 10 years. And that outlines the number of children's homes that we feel that we require, as well as the increase to foster placement homes, the continued increase towards connected person placements. And for us, we really need that Welsh Government support for the Eliminate Profit and the radical reform. We met with Welsh Government to give them our update and to really stress the importance that whilst we're bringing online a number of placements at a rapid speed, I have to stress that we are doing that without an increase to our infrastructure to meet the demand. And also we have got children that will require specialist settings that we wouldn't be able to meet as a local authority. And there are some children that would remain within their settings because that's their plan. So we stress the point really quite clearly that we need that financial support and we need that time to set this up and to make sure it's successful, because we want to deliver excellent care to our children and young people. That's our focus. So there's a lot of work that's being done behind the scenes, as well as the reports that you're seeing, identifying those children and young people that we need to focus on, remaining within the local authority and increasing the provision that we've got. But like I said, we definitely need that financial support as children's services to develop that further.
Councillor Penny, you had something?
Thank you, and thank you, Councillor Carr, for raising that. And Steph, as normal, thank you very much for your voice of reason and the plans that are going ahead. And I think it's the term we're doing a lot behind the scenes is really crucial in that. Emily and myself are lobbying Welsh Government. I meet every month with cabinet members across North Wales to see where they're up to, what their point of view is, how they're approaching it. And we do meet with the Welsh Government Minister to see exactly how this is going to pan out. So we're doing as much as we can in the environment we find ourselves in. And yes, wouldn't it be great if all the children of Conway County could remain in the county? We're working as hard as we can, Councillor Carr, and we would appreciate any support or help that you or any member on the committee could give. Thank you very much for your question, and my thanks again go to the team. Thank you very much.
Right, any more questions, please?
Frank had his hand up.
Sorry,
Frank.
Dav?
Frank.
Oh, Frank, sorry. Did you have a question, Frank?
Yes, no, I haven't, Chair, but I would just like to support what's been said at this social care. I've been a member of the management board for years, and the work that the management board do is extensive, and children directed and Carmen Silver or Silver Gardens is one place that the same committee has been working on for children with special characteristic needs. So they are working extensively to bring people from out the county into the county, and that's only to be applauded. And their budget sheet should show that, not this one because that's a grant, but the other one, they did all this similar within the budget. To really be commended, Chair. Thank you very much.
Councillor Bernice?
I just want to make an observation. Although our aims are fantastic, there is always going to be some individuals who cannot remain in county because of the reasons. So I think it's nice to have the aspiration, but it is not always going to be possible.
Yeah. Okay, any more questions, please? I can't see anybody online. Anybody in the room? Right, okay, can we go to the vote on that? All those in favour of accepting this report, noting it? Anybody against? Right, I declare that carried. Right, okay. I think that's all we've got on the agenda today. So thank you very much. Oh, one more.
Sorry, I've just had a response in terms of the question about partner and parent. So partner of a parent is 3 months, and a general adoption timescale is 6 months for first-time adopters, 4 months for second-time adopters. So there is a different. They do say that there's a waiting list and that they prioritise those who are approaching 18.
Thank you very much. Right, I declare this meeting closed.
Thank you, Chair.
Diolch yn fawr iawn.
Diolch yn fawr iawn.